Okay, welcome to How to Render Materials Part 2. We've looked at our acrylic, now we're going to be looking at another type of material. This time it's going to be pine. So this is a wood, a timber that we're going to try and render. And we're going to be quite loose with this because all timber is slightly different. And it's one of those things that you can kind of use a little bit of artistic license with. So we're going to start off by blocking out the entire shape, and we're just using the side of our yellow pencil because it's quite a yellowy kind of wood. And we're going to just block that out, make sure that all of these sides have got a little bit of yellow color on them already. Again, we're going to go back to our isometric cube. Remember, the next side, the one on the left hand side, is going to be darker than the top, and the right hand side is going to be darker still. To get this, I'm going to use a combination of orange and yellow just to get that to look the right sort of tone, and I think that's kind of getting there now, which is good. Now the next thing we need to consider is sort of quite a major detail on our wood, and we're going to be looking at the grain of the wood, which is all the lines that you can see running down the length of the wood. You can see there's not a huge amount of grain on the side of this one, but we're just going to use that as a little bit of a guide. Now, the grain is running in this direction. So again, I'm using the side of the pencil because I don't want to have stark lines. I'm just building up tone and colour rather than trying to draw at this point in time. And we're going for this kind of parallel lines, but at the end, I'm sort of bending it out so you can see a little bit of a kind of I like to refer to it as a flame, kind of a shape at one end. So they can be a little bit curvy. That's not a problem. We're just using this brown pencil to bring us down here. Now, next I'm going to use a bit of an orange. So we're going to layer these colors, and it's just going to be slightly next to the brown and just kind of showing that these different tones are running through here. And I'm not being deeply careful, but I am kind of trying to stick it within the lines a little bit. I'm sure you guys are more than capable of doing that. And we're just building this up, and it is something you're doing. When you're doing rendering, you need to build the colors up. Okay, next we're going to look at is the end grain. The end grain is what it sounds like. It's the end of the piece of wood, and it usually has this kind of slightly circular kind of direction to it. So I'm going to start off with the brown and then start to kind of have a look at this side, and it really is just a bit of tone. So I'm just going to block in a section to make it look a little bit like the wood that we're using as our guide. And it doesn't have to be perfect, and again, you can kind of play around with it. If you're not happy with it, you can work on it a little bit more and add a little bit more shape. And remember, this should be quite loose and scratchy at this point. Make sure that you're using different colors to build it up as well. Now, just like we did with the first one, we're going to outline it. So again, thick lines on the outside, thin on the middle, and we're going to sort of do it slightly differently this time because actually wood typically has a slightly rougher appearance, so I'm not being too careful. And if it's a bit scratchy, it's not a problem. At this top edge, I'm actually adding in some little kind of V cutouts and a little bit more texture, so I'm purposely not being 100% straight with my lines. And we're going to follow that down the side, and then we're going to chase around the bottom edge here. And again, we're just being a little bit loose and a bit kind of almost scribbly to give it that textured feel. We want that texture this time rather than having a really lovely crisp edge to it. And that's just working our way all the way around there and building that up. And again, a little thin line inside, and I'm happy to just leave this a bit scratchy. It doesn't have to be perfect at all. And with a little bit of help in the corners, there we go. So that's our wood effect.